Notice something strange. The people who use AI the most, they seem to be burning out the fastest. So why is it that all of these high performers, the top talent, the go-getters, right? The ones who love all of these AI applications and tools, they seem to be the ones that are suddenly exhausted, overwhelmed, or feeling behind, even when AI is supposed to make everything easier, right? So stick with me, because today we're going to be unpacking why high performers burn out faster in this age of AI and how to stop it. Hi, I'm Jennifer Rist. I'm a human performance strategist and the creator of the CLEAR method, helping ambitious professionals like you to perform at your best in this age of chaotic AI, right? So let's zoom out for a minute and let's look at the actual data here, right? Because burnout isn't a you problem. It's not even a mindset issue. It's a system problem. It's a pace problem. It's a pressure problem. Here's what the numbers say. So 82% of white-collar knowledge workers across North America, Europe, and Asia, they're reporting to being at least slightly to extremely burned out in 2024. So I would say it's more on the extreme because we all don't want to admit that we're feeling it, right? And nearly 8 in 10 employees, think about that, 80% experience burnout at least sometimes. And a Gallup report shows that global employee engagement has dropped from 23% to 21% in 2024. So you're not imagining it. You are not the problem. And the environment is just basically shifting under our feet, right? Not saying the rug's being pulled out from under us, but things are shifting and they're shifting fast. And now adding AI onto the mix and things get more interesting, especially for those of you who are stepping up and stepping out to learn AI, to be the AI guru and the AI guy, right? Because we all want to advance our careers. We all want to get into the mix and really understand this stuff. But sometimes it comes right back at us. And not that that's a negative thing that we're stepping up. I don't want to convey that impression, but it is putting a lot of pressure on many of us that are trying to be, really the leaders in this space. So AI should make work smoother, faster, and easier, right? But that's not how many high performers are experiencing it from those that I've been talking to. And here's what's actually happening. 77% of employees say that AI has increased their workload and stress because now they have to review, they have to correct, and they have to manage AI, right? All of those outputs on top of all of their regular responsibilities. And that came from a survey from Deloitte. And a 2024 study in Scientific Reports found that AI adoption is linked to increased job stress. So again, 8 out of 10, 80% of us are walking around stressed out with AI on board. So we want to bring those numbers down, right? And developers who say that they save 10 plus hours a week with AI, they're losing almost the same amount to organizational chaos because there's a lot of organizations that want to put AI in and they're not quite ready. So I had a few videos on how you really need to be ready for AI and making sure that you're taking the right steps when you are adopting it. So check out those videos. So if you ever thought AI is supposed to be help, so why don't I feel it? Why do I feel like I'm more behind and I'm burning the candle at both ends? You are not wrong because you are. And a lot of it has to do with being in these early stages because we have AI, but we don't quite trust it yet because it hasn't proven to be 100% trustworthy, right? We see a lot of areas where you look at the AI outputs and it's spot on, and then there's other areas that are kind of all over the place, right? So we're still in that phase of learning about it, how it's working, how to operate it and use it properly, but we're also in that stage where not all of the outputs are right. So we need to be on top of it. And so let's look at why do high performers especially burn out faster, especially now? High performers like you, they have always had this risk of burnout, right? I'm sure that you've been burned out maybe once before or felt it, or you just constantly feel like you're burned out. McKinsey notes that top talent often produces multiple times the output of an average employee. And you get that. You could see it. You know it. When you look comparatively at your peers or others that are in your space, you know whether you're a high performer or not. You know all of the workload that you're taking on and all of the things you're doing extra to perform at your very best and to stand out. But when you add AI into the mix, the overload doesn't just increase, it multiplies, right? And it's for a few reasons. So the first reason is that you become the AI multiplier. So because you're stepping up and out and trying to learn this stuff, people assume that you'll learn that new AI tool first, that you can review whatever AI generated and just know right away how it's working and operating and if it's true. And you can lead the team's AI strategy on top of your actual job, right? So how many of you, raise your hand, are in that situation because you've stood up and stood out and now you're the guru, but it's a lot of pressure, right? AI doesn't replace your workload. It expands your surface area. So suddenly you're the strategist, the reviewer, the editor, the quality control manager, and the emotional shock absorber when AI outputs something crazy and wild that is not 100% legit, right? The second reason is expectations quietly ratchet up, right? Before AI, maybe your boss or whoever would say to you, hey, can you get that done by Friday, end of day or end of business before we go on the weekend? Now that AI is here, they might say, with AI, you could do this plus a slide deck, plus the analysis, still by Friday, right? And you just want to fall over or fall out of your chair because it doesn't make it any faster, right? The tools get faster, but humans don't. Your nervous system has not evolved to match ChatGPT's output speed, right? We are still not and ever will be 24/7 beings, right? We need that time to decompress, but we also need time to think and be thoughtful. Reason number 3 is you internalize the pressure. So I think that we're all doing this, right? High performers are already hard on themselves, and you know that, right? You know that you're your own worst critic. And adding AI, you suddenly, have this feeling of, why am I tired if AI can do this in 10 seconds? If I'm not using AI enough, I'm falling behind. Or you feel that, is this even my work or is this just the tool? And you start to think or overthink about decisions you're making or your thought process because you might get crazy things coming out of AI, right? There's even research on AI-fueled impostor syndrome, which I really hate that word because everyone feels at some point when they're starting out or they're going into something new that maybe they're not the expert, right? But we have to keep going. And if you get crippled by calling things and labeling things like imposter syndrome, sometimes you can't crawl out of that. So I'm not a fan of that word or a lot of these labels. But when you have that AI-fueled imposter syndrome where people question their competence because they're relying on it so much, right? I think I've seen a lot of posts coming out, especially on LinkedIn, like, is AI making us more stupid or we're not being as thoughtful? So, that's important to really, internalize and say, like, how much am I bringing to the table, or am I using all of this AI and my content's pretty generic, right? Your calendar doesn't show this stress at all, but your nervous system definitely does. So reason number 4, work becomes more fragmented and less human. So we are all human, and humans like humans, and humans respond to human reactions, right? But research warns that over-reliance on AI, it can reduce collaboration and increase isolation. Both are huge burnout risks, right? So we're kind of talking to AI like it's our best friend instead of talking to our colleagues that we're working with on certain projects to try to get ahead. But oftentimes we're just doing things in isolation in our own bubble, and we're not collaborating with the people that we need to, which could put projects at risk as well, right? Because we're thinking we're all knowing because we're getting all of this information from AI. But you might be maybe messaging AI more than you message your coworkers, right? Getting less human feedback and doing more micro tasks generated by tools. So you're doing less on your own and you're really becoming reliant. And you're busy, but you're not fulfilled. You're productive, but seems like everyone's disconnected, right? You might be efficient, but you are exhausted because now the expectations are on, right? So what are the signs that you're heading towards AI accelerated burnout? So if you're a high performer, you often don't notice burnout until it slams you right in the face, unfortunately. So watch for these signs. You're productive, but emotionally numb. You're using AI to push through, not to create space. You feel guilty stepping away because AI doesn't get tired. You're more irritable, cynical, or impatient, and your thinking feels shallower. You don't feel as strategic as you used to be. You're maybe shipping more out, putting out more content, but you're caring less, right? If you're nodding right now, that's not a weakness. It's wisdom knocking on your door and telling you there's a different way. So how do we prevent AI-fueled burnout? We want to prevent the burnout as much as we can because prevention is important. We want to redefine high performance for the AI era. Maybe your old way was you're valuable because you complete more tasks. Now it comes down to you're valuable because you're making better decisions. So it's not that volume of output, it's the value that you're bringing to those decisions, right? Your job is not going to keep up with AI. Your job is to lead, design systems, and ask sharper questions and apply human judgment, right? We can have all the facts, but someone needs to apply it, right? So ask yourself, where am I acting like a machine? If AI is my assistant, what should I uniquely be doing? How do I bring that to the table? And you're going to want to use AI to protect your recovery, not just increase output. So instead of you using AI to do more, use it to do less of what drains you. So some examples can be let AI draft, summarize, and rough cut your work. If AI saves you 30 minutes, allocate 10 to recovery. Allocate time for deep thinking, a walk, breathing space, or strategic clarity. Because you have to think through all of this data, the inputs that are coming in, right? Automate the friction, not the meaning. So spend time coming up with your own plan, doing rough drafts, and put it into AI to bring some finesse, make it sound a little bit more smooth, right? And also schedule human-only time. You have to protect time for your deep work, those real conversations with your colleagues or people on your team, thinking without tools and strategy and reflection, because that's the human side of all of this. McKinsey research shows that meaning, belonging, and self-efficacy reduce burnout. And AI can't give you those, but it can buy you time for them. And set boundaries before AI sets them for you. So, even though AI is on your plate as a high performer, try some things like AI-free mornings. Give your time when you're at your best and you're at your best for that deep thinking, for that strategy, right? Use AI when you're kind of burnt out from your own thinking and your own day and things are kind of lulling down for the day. Start using it then. Plug it into those times and plug in your work for, like I mentioned before, some finesse and for some fine-tuning, if I can get that out. Humans are not 24/7, right? Your tools might be, but your nervous system isn't. And if you feel the pressure that this is coming on, I think it's important to share that with your manager or your supervisor. I know we all don't want to be the guy to speak up, about workload or things are too much, but I think many are not realizing that supporting AI is almost a second role because there's a lot to it, right? And burnout thrives in silence, not in speaking up. So high performers suffer in the silence because we all don't want to say anything, right? But sometimes we need to. So let's stop that cycle. So I hope that those, even of you that are on here as leaders, if you've made it this far in the video, that maybe you're listening to some of these tactics and looking at your teams and thinking, hey, how do I help them? How do I help them work with AI and also not start to quietly withdraw or, not sign up to be AI champions because they feel like the work is so heavy. So take a look at some of these, things that might be coming up within your team. You're getting a bit of a vibe that your team isn't happy. So you can also step in and design AI strategies with training, change management, clear role expectations, workflow, and workload audits of your team, and creating that space for real conversations about what is going on without making your team feel like they're fearful of what's going on with their job because they're not stepping up as much as they used to, or at least they feel that way, right? AI can amplify your best people. So really hone in on what's going on with them and make sure that they are still aligned. But my final thoughts here are that high performers burn out faster in this age because their responsibilities are quietly expanding, expectations are rising faster than recovery, emotional labor becomes invisible, and the pace becomes inhuman. So if you've gotten something out of this, please consider sharing, please consider subscribing, and just know that AI doesn't replace your humanity, but it requires you to protect it. Use AI to reclaim your clarity, your space, and your energy. And you use AI to amplify your human edge and not erase it. So we will see you all on the next video.